So you just purchased an RV. Maybe it's brand new, or maybe it's just new to you, or you got it on order. Either way, you are going to need some RV essentials. So that's what we're going to be talking about today in this video. In another video, we'll be talking about our RV luxuries. What do we carry to make life comfortable and fun in our leisure travel van? But today we are really going to focus on your wet bay essentials, on your electrical system essentials, and things that you're going to need just to run your motor coach. Today we're really going to be talking about, like I said, we have a leisure travel van, which is a Class C, marketing calls it a Class B+, so it's a 30 amp service. So we're going to be talking about that in those terms, but we're going to get into it right now. All right, let's jump right in, and we're going to talk about your electrical essentials first. And the reason I say that is you need to double check to see if you have a built-in surge protector inside your RV and that it is working correctly, because this can cost thousands of dollars of damage if you don't have one of these, because whenever you plug into a pedestal at a campground, they're not always clean power. So you're going to want to have an analyzer and a surge protector. And so our leisure travel van, we were fortunate to have one built in. It analyzes the power comes in. It'll tell you if you've got reverse polarity or if it's low voltage, and it won't allow that power into the coach if it sees something wrong with it. And then if something happens when you are plugged in, you get a surge or something like that, obviously the surge protector is going to protect you and your electrical systems. Now then, if you do not have a built-in surge protector, this needs to be your very first purchase. And that is going to be a portable RV surge protector. Now then, like I said, we're talking about the 30 amp. The leisure travel van's a 30 amp, but if you have a Class A, it might be 50 amp. If you have a fifth wheel, it might be 50 amp. The larger the RV that you have, more likely it's going to be a 50 amp. The smaller it's going to be a 30 amp. So make sure you get the correct one for this. So the one that I recommend is going to be the Progressive Industries. Like I said, we don't have a need for one because ours is built in, but however, through my research and actually before I knew that our leisure travel van had one built in, this is the one that I was going to purchase because I did my due diligence, and it seemed like the Progressive Industries was one of the best on the market. Do your research though, and there are several brands out there, and I'm sure they all work great. Just really watch some good YouTube videos of people who use them, and then you can make your informed decision. But the Progressive Industries is the one that I'm recommending, and the one that I was going to buy until I found out that we had one built in. Okay, now let's talk Dogbones. If you haven't heard the term Dogbones yet, that is what the RV world calls the different connectors to be able to make your 30 amp coach plug into a 50 amp or plug into a 15 amp or 50 amp plug into a 30, 15, those type of situations. And so not every RV park or campground is going to necessarily going to have either a 30 amp or a 50 amp plug. So you're going to want to make sure that you got an adapter that's going to allow you to plug in. These are pretty straightforward. Like I said, our 30 amp, so I carry with us a 30 amp to a 50 amp and also a 30 amp to a 15 amp, so I'm able to plug into a household outlet. I do that all the time at my house. Plus I got a soft start, so I'm able to actually run our air conditioning off of that 15 amp service. And so you're going to want to make sure that you carry these with you, because you may get to a campground and find out that either the 30 amp pedestal doesn't work and that you're going to have to plug into the 50 amp plug, or that they just plain don't have 30 amp. Or if you're in a 50 amp, they may not have a 50 amp. So you're always going to want to make sure you're prepared. Like I said, you can get them on Amazon. They're really inexpensive, and you're probably going to want to maybe even buy two, because I've already left one at a campground before. So it's always good to have a spare. They're not expensive, so it's an easy thing to do. Okay, like I said, my leisure travel van actually came with an analyzer and a surge protector. However, it is in a very difficult place to get to in the sense of seeing if your power is good. And so I actually jumped on Amazon and I bought this little analyzer. It doesn't do any surge protection, so don't think of it as that, but it'll just tell you if the power coming in is clean. And so that saves me from having to pull some cushions off and look down to where my analyzer is inside the coach. This is super easy. It just goes in between the pedestal and your 30 amp cord, and you'll be good. So let's jump over to the wet bay essentials. Just like with the electrical, there is going to be something that you're going to want to buy first, and that is to protect your RV, and that is a pressure regulator. Fortunately, these are inexpensive, so I would suggest buying a couple of them, because at some point you're going to leave one laying on the ground and drive off, and you never want to be without one of these. You never want to turn on a faucet to your coach that has the potential to blow your plumbing to smithereens. RV plumbing is not like residential plumbing. It cannot survive a very high pressure water. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to regulate that pressure, and that's what this pressure regulator does. Like I said, they're inexpensive. Buy a couple. Protect yourself every single time. Never turn on a faucet without going through one of these first. Okay, let's talk about your hoses. So there's going to be 2 different hoses you're going to want to carry with you, and you want to keep them separate. You don't want to keep them in the same bin. You don't want to keep them in the same storage area, because one is going to be for your drinking water and one is going to be for your black tank flush and anything else you want to do with the RV. You need a hose for your drinking and your potable water that is completely exclusive to that. So the one that we recommend, the one that we use, is the 0G. Absolutely love this hose. It's blue, so I always know which one it is. Then the one that I use for my black tank is green, so that I never get the 2 mixed up. That would be a terrible thing to do. It could get you sick, so you don't want to do that. But one thing, you can't just go to Home Depot and buy a hose for your drinking water. Well, you can, but it just wouldn't be safe. You need to get an RV marine hose that is rated for potable drinking water, and this is the one that we recommend. It's fantastic. It's kink free. It's awesome. We love this hose, and it's called a 0G, I believe. All right, so let's talk about water filtration for drinking water. I'm a big advocate of not buying bottled water. I think the inundation of plastic into our environment is horrible. When you see the oceans full of drinking plastic bottles, or you see our parks and our national parks and everything with plastic drinking bottles on the ground, I think it's terrible. So we try to make sure that we are being as environment conscious as we can, and so we use 2 different types of filtration. You always want to have a good water filter that you put between the city water faucet and your RV. Now then, we don't just rely on that. You probably could, but we don't. We also use a Berkey system inside of the coach. We have the travel Berkey. They're kind of expensive, but you know, it's probably one of the best filtration systems that you can possibly get, and we're never scared about whatever type of water we put in there from any park, any national park, anything like that. The Berkey system is going to make that water absolutely taste great and be, I think it's like 99.99% virus and bacteria free. And so you're going to want to make sure that you have adequate filtration for your coach. All right, the next luxury is not essential. Like I said, it's a luxury, and that is a quick connect. If you've ever tried to sit there and you screw in and you just don't have the right angle, and like I said, it's getting up into the leisure travel van, it's a little more difficult than some RVs that have a higher up wet bay. And so I installed these quick connects, and I have never looked back. It is so easy, and because that is probably one of the most stressful, or aggravating things, is whenever you're trying to screw in a hose and you just don't have the right angle and it's just not going on. This quick connect solves that. Total luxury, but I highly recommend. Well, there you go. That's the electrical essentials that we carry with us in our leisure travel van. Now, if you found something that works just as great that you really like, make sure you put that in the comments down below so that our viewers have a choice. These are the things that we use and have found that work well for us. But you may not have the same type of coach as us. So if you've got a Class A or something with a 50 amp, please put in the comments what you use for that to help the community out. As it can be kind of daunting, but it's also really fun to get all of the things that you need for your RV. Now look for the video coming up soon of our luxuries and the things that we just love to have. Our favorite camp chairs, our favorite campsite grills, our different music players, things like that we carry in our LTV. That's also going to be a fun video to learn what we carry in our LTV. But be sure you subscribe, make sure you like this video, and we will see you next time.